Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm here with Eitan, and we are sharing the secrets behind liberating ourselves from compulsion. And this comes in a specific week of the year in which we're really asked by the universe to leave all of the old us behind. Everything that doesn't serve us, the conscious and the unconscious, the habits, the spontaneous behaviors, and everything in between. And so this week, we're not only talking about how to free ourselves from those unconscious and limiting habits and behaviors, but also how do we hit the reboot button? What's the opportunity of this week to shift into a dramatically different movie? And we're excited to share those ideas with you today. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast in which we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days from the teachings and the wisdom of Kabbalah. And every episode gives over practical tools and wisdom that you can use any week of the year, any year of your life. And if you go back over the last, I don't know how many, over 350 episodes of Weekly Energy Boost, you can see that in this time of year, we typically talk about the idea of hitting the reboot, the refresh button, starting anew, leaving things behind. And that conversation doesn't ever get old. It's also the topic of every episode. But this week, what's happening, and the reason it's so important to really be willing and free ourselves, free the space in ourselves to be dramatically different, is because this Wednesday night to Friday night are the new moon of the month of Libra, but also the beginning of the year for humanity, the Kabbalistic birthday of humanity, we'll call it. We understand from the writings that it's the day on which Adam and Eve were created, and therefore the day on which all of humanity became empowered with its tools and abilities to be co-creators of our reality. So every year at this time, we're given a completely new infusion of life force energy for the entire year. How we do that, we'll get into as well. But first, one of the most important teachings about Rosh Hashanah and these powerful 2 days is that in as much as we've spent the last month taking stock, reflecting, looking inward, checking with the people who care about us, how can we be better versions of ourselves, and all of that journaling and studying and work, the moment Rosh Hashanah begins, the moment the sun sets on Wednesday night, the Kabbalists teach, forget about all that. Let go. Don't even think about it. If you made a list, throw it, burn it, get rid of it. You want to distance yourself as far as you can from the previous version of yourself to welcome the energy for the person that you are meant to become this year. So I think the first thing we have to talk about is how do we really detach completely from any of those reactive, compulsive, unconscious negative behaviors? Because it's very easy to say, I'm going to be different tomorrow, but the same desires, the same temptations, the same habits often are waiting for us when we wake up the next day.
So I think step number one, the fact that it is resonating with us, listener here, about the concept of compulsive behavior. And we recognize, yes, I do have in these areas compulsive behavior, compulsive habit, and it can be externally anger, which takes over unconsciously. And then I'm saying, I'm sorry, and I know it's bad for me, but I'm connecting to it. Or it can be constantly, compulsively worried, or compulsively speaking bad about other people, or other type. It's in a way, it's kind of addiction that it's bigger than me. So I think step number one, the mere fact that we are willing to identify, to journal, to say, I know this doesn't serve me. I'm still attached to it. I'm still addicted, but it doesn't serve it. That's step number one. What is step number two? And this is essential. Anytime I'm active, compulsively, unconsciously, what am I reacting to? I'm reacting to a pain that I had. Pain can be feeling unworthy. Pain can be feeling judged, feeling trapped, not enough, small, impatience, out of control, major victim. And when I don't know how to actually sit in the pain, my natural reactive system is to protect myself from this pain through anger, through judgment, through harshness, through addictions, through overeating, through gambling, through whatever negative behavior, over worrying, over stressing. So really, the compulsive behavior, it's not the cause. The cause is that I cannot handle my pain. So our ego tells us, let me help you to fix your pain. So for a second, when you're angry at someone, you have sense of energy that cover up the temporary pain that you feel of not enough, of fear of the future. So it's not just about the physical behavior. Oh, I'm not going to be angry from now. Let me suppress my anger. It's not going to work. We need to go inside. So my suggestion is identify the lack, the inner pain, the emotional pain that is the cause of the physical compulsive behavior. Maybe someone else said something that triggered, but they didn't trigger my compulsive behavior. They trigger my pain. The reason someone is addicted and he knows and she knows it's bad for them, but they're still addicted because they don't know how to handle the insecurity. They don't know how to handle the lack of worthiness. It's some pain and void that I can't stand and I have to fix. So what is the real work before Rosh Hashanah? Especially few days before. Now we're in the threshold. Prayer. Go back to the moment you were compulsive. Go slow motion. Identify the emotional pain that the compulsive behavior is just trying to fix. But stay in that emotional pain and ask the Creator, please allow me to heal my pain. I trust that you are with me. Help me to feel that I can handle, stay put with patience, embracing this temporary discomfort and trusting that I'll be safe. I am safe. I'm okay. Because that's how it works. In slow motion, insecurity is trigger, not enough is trigger, less than is trigger, alone is trigger, unloved is triggered, and we have to fix it. So you have a choice. When it's triggered, go back in time to that pain, real pain, which that's not what life, we didn't mean to stay in that pain, but then before you just fix it with the ego, beg the Creator, allow me to feel that you are healing me, and that feeling of unloved and unworthy, and you know, with your light, with your strength, I can feel safe, protected, guided, together, and not alone. And it is a process. And as you're doing it, especially in a state of meditation, at least you develop the ability to pause right between the compulsive behavior, because usually the pain is attached to compulsive behavior and you don't have, it's after the fact, you're only waking up. So instead of waiting for the next time it will happen, go back to time and play it slow motion. And then you begin to develop spiritual strength to tolerate this temporary discomfort. And it takes time, but that's where the healing needs to happen.
So there's two things I'm taking away from what you just shared and reflecting on my own process. First is to identify, we all have, even the word compulsive, right? It simply implies you can't help it, right? The insecurity is triggered and you can't help but judge in response. You can't help but be angry. You can't help but become critical. And the power in slowing down that process, first retrospectively, first as you reflect on what's going on within you when these moments happen, but then going forward in the moment to be able to pause and identify, okay, I'm feeling less than right now. My anger is not going to solve it. How can I tap into that infinite source of strength, of connection, of love that is the soul, the spark of the creator within me, rather than grab the energy that comes from judging, getting angry, becoming critical, defensive, and all the other ways that the compulsive external behavior is simply masking where the real work is.
Absolutely. Actually, something's very powerful. Rav Ashlag, the founder of the Kabbalah Centre 100 years ago, defined what makes you young, energetic, and a magnet to attract more unlimitedness into your life. When you develop greater tolerance, when you actually develop trust, I can handle, with the help of the light of the Creator, with the light of the higher power that exists within me, this temporary discomfort. I can handle it without reacting, with trust. More develop self-belief, I can handle it, more magic you attract into your life. Think about the opposite, God forbid. What is the biggest unconscious reactive action? Committing suicide. What is the driving force behind it? I can't handle this pain anymore. What is the consciousness that will allow me to attract the biggest magic in my life when I'm facing that internal pain? With the help of the Creator, I can handle it. I don't know how, but I trust. So actually believing in the light, trusting the universe, it's actually partially trusting myself. A lot of people say, I believe in God, but I don't believe in myself. It's the same thing. Believing I can handle with the help of the light, which I was created with the power of the light, it's actually believing in the Creator.
What do you find prevents people from actually leaving these behaviors behind? Meaning, we teach this in Kabbalah 1, we work on it with our students one-on-one, the self-awareness journey. I see that this is something that I do that's self-sabotaging or hurting my family or hurting my coworkers. I want to stop it. I recognize there's a lack within me. And yet most of the time, that transformation, the awareness isn't enough. It's not enough to recognize it and realize it. We have to do the work. What keeps people from fully disconnecting or reinventing themselves after recognizing some of these difficult behaviors?
I think the Rav Berg always would say, settling for less. We somehow allow ourselves to believe in our ego self, in our limited self, and saying, that's what life is about, that's what's possible. Yeah, it's a little chaotic, it doesn't serve me much, but I don't see myself actually changing, and that's what life is about. Settling for less, thinking small. By the way, one of the reasons of studying Kabbalah and studying about the light and studying about the tree of life and study about the world of the souls and study about why did we come in this world is to awaken the desire and the faith and the trust is so much more in our life. I've seen so many people just by taking Kabbalah 1. It awakened with them the desire. There's so much more. I used to settle for less. I know better. I didn't know that beside fixing the temporary pain with a pill or with cocaine or with other tools, I didn't know there's other ways to enter to a world with so much more blessings. So I think it's very important that the daily study or the weekly study, the disciplines of study about the world beyond just the practical, is to awaken within us the belief and the desire. I don't want to settle for less. My soul is vast. And that's what most people don't even make an effort. And most people don't even want to see clearly and to recognize clearly that's actually addicted to chaos.
Yeah, I think that we should spend the rest of our time together talking about these 2 days and how to best take advantage of the opportunity called Rosh Hashanah, being that many of our listeners are aware of what it is to whatever degree they've experienced it in their own lives prior to finding us, finding spirituality, finding Kabbalah. But there's also people who are listening that are hearing about this opportunity for the first time. The 2 days, again, being the days on which humanity is there, the life energy for all of humanity is renewed. We want to make sure you know, as listeners, that you can stream with us and join us for a Kabbalistic Rosh Hashanah, wherever you are in the world, although we do have locations in different places around the world. And all of this is on our website at weeklyenergyboost.com. At the same time, I think we can also share with them a few specific mindsets or things to practice in these 48 hours to help us maximize what we accomplish, no matter where we are in the world, whether you're physically present in a group of like-minded individuals, you're behind a screen with like-minded individuals, or you're wherever you are in your corner of the world doing your best to make your own connection. What are some of the main things to keep in mind in these 48 hours?
So I think number one is to know that, as you mentioned, Elisheva, that this is the birthday of humanity. The birthday of Adam and Eve is the birthday of humanity. And we have infusion of our unlimited potential comes down from the upper metaphysical world into our life. So the fact that we are open, regardless what I've done, regardless my negativity, regardless my limitations, regardless what I think I'm worthy or not, bigger than being worthy. It's not about, am I worthy to breathe right now? Instead of looking this way, I'm open to receive all this great unlimited potential in every area of my life, as long as I know it's meant to be used and channeled for the sake of helping other people, for the sake of sharing. So that unlimitedness, that's one of the most important things, and not to dwell in these 48 hours in self-judgment, because self-judgment prevent me to attract that vibration that's available in the universe. Imagine our unlimited soul is certain metaphysical vibration that is available, and we want to tap into it, specifically during the blowing of the shofar, which is a sound that ignites the sound of our soul. The sound, the frequency, the rhythm. So that's one important thing. The other thing, we want to actually meditate. We want to actually meditate without feeling bad about ourselves, to cleanse old past limited actions that we've done, and not just us, our community and the whole world. Because two things happening in Rosh Hashanah. Download of the unlimited self while cleansing, correcting, transforming the old self, the limited self. And we do both things, but everything within state of joy, not of judgment.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that usually in the days approaching Rosh Hashanah, I get texts from people, what's the one thing I need to change? What's the one thing you think I need to work on? And I really feel, especially if you're listening now, Monday or Tuesday, even Wednesday, and we're still connected to the year that's closing, or I like to think of it like we're still using the tank of gas that we filled up on last year in Rosh Hashanah, to really imagine, especially what we spoke about in the first part of this episode, what are those behaviors and responses that you shouldn't, that they're not helping you. They're hurting you, they're hurting others. If you can focus on 1, 2, maybe 3, the top 3 that that you can take responsibility for, unconsciously calming your ego with that, calming your insecurity, your emptiness, your lack, your pain all year, just to come with that awareness. And again, once the sun sets on Wednesday, you leave it behind and you simply ask for that cleansing, that purification, that releasing of all of the attachments to anything that was before. We really can emerge from this process in a completely different way. And those days afterwards, it's important to, we'll only get to you again the following Monday, the Saturday afterwards, from Saturday until Friday, we're really have this whole energy of renewal and rejuvenation that takes place for every single negative action that we accomplished in the past year, that whether it was conscious or unconscious, we're aware of it, we're not aware of it. And so it's really a time to be mindful, but also light. Because one of the things that reveals the most darkness is when we do realize something that we've done to disconnect from our soul, the light, other people, is that we beat ourselves up about it. And so even though we may have done something negative and it lasted a minute, 2 minutes, an hour, we beat ourselves up and perpetuate the darkness. That's one of the greatest things to take responsibility for and leave behind in the year that's ending, so that we come to the new year with not only a clean slate, but an open and limitless vessel to receive all of the fulfillment and goodness that we can receive. Anything else you want to add, Eitan, before we wish our friends the best year of their lives so far?
I think especially for people that repetitively experiences holiday, Rosh Hashanah, we look at this as tradition, as another holiday. That's something I would recommend to shift. Because one of the secrets of Kabbalah is to look at things as if you experience them for the first time. And it's actually this specific thing will change my life and the whole world. And one of the problems that when we do things for a while, we become numb, apathic, not really trusting, wow, this is the moment I was waiting all my life for. Wow. And that's the type of energy I would recommend to develop. Don't be numb. Be a little baby. Experience for the first time this magnificent energy of Rosh Hashanah.
Absolutely. And so for those of you that are interested, we're going to put some resources on the homepage at weeklyenergyboost.com so that you can join us in whatever capacity that you're able, or learn some more about the Kabbalistic perspective on Rosh Hashanah and the coming days. You can also click the donate button at weeklyenergyboost.com to support our podcast. If you're not already following us on Instagram or Facebook, please do so. We post almost on a daily basis additional reminders and content to support you in applying what we talk about in each week's episode. But as always, we want to remind you, sharing this episode is really the best way to impact and give back for the awakening and the revelation that you're experiencing right now with this. We wish you a fabulous week and a powerful connection, and we'll see you next time on the Weekly Energy Boost.
Amazing.